You're sitting in a public bathroom stall and you glance down. There it is, that wide gap under the door, just big enough for a stranger's shoes to appear a few inches from yours. Everyone notices it. Almost nobody questions it. So why is it there? Maybe you've assumed it's to save money, or so people can tell when the stall is taken, or maybe some plumbing law forces it. The truth is stranger than any of those, because there was never one single reason. And the story starts more than 100 years ago, with one of the most famous architects who ever lived. Welcome to Breakdownz, the story behind everything. Here's the first surprise. That gap is almost uniquely American. Travel to the United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, or most of the world, and you will step into a stall with walls and a door that run nearly floor to ceiling, total privacy. Americans grew up with the gap and never realized how unusual it is. So how did one country end up with the most exposed toilets in the developed world? To answer that, we have to go back to 1904. In Buffalo, New York, the architect Frank Lloyd Wright was designing the Larkin Administration Building, a temple to the modern office. Wright obsessed over efficiency, and he made a radical choice. Instead of bolting the toilet partitions to the floor, he hung them off the wall, leaving an open space underneath. His reasoning was almost boringly practical. As he put it himself, it was easier to clean under. Janitors could mop and hose the entire floor in one pass. There was nothing in the way, and nowhere for grime to hide. The gap, in its very first form, was not about money or privacy. It was about a wet mop. But cleaning alone didn't make the gap a national standard. That took something more powerful: cost. Between 1917 and 1919, inventors began patenting the metal toilet partitions we still use today. And reading those patents, one idea repeats: make it cheap. The goal was a partition that could be produced at comparatively low cost, shipped flat, and bolted into any building, even one with an uneven floor. Raising the panels off the ground meant less material, no custom measuring, and one product that fit everywhere. Multiply that across millions of restrooms, and the savings were enormous. The gap stuck around because it was the budget option, and it simply never left. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. Ask around, and someone will tell you with total confidence that the gap is required by law, that the Americans with Disabilities Act demands it. It doesn't. The ADA only requires a small toe clearance, about 9 inches, and only inside wheelchair-accessible stalls, so a person can maneuver. For every ordinary stall, the law says nothing at all. The gap isn't a rule, it's a habit, a century of cleaning and cost-cutting frozen into steel. And then something funny happened. The gap nobody really designed started quietly doing other jobs. A 2024 survey of about 1,000 Americans found that 74% admit to using that under-door space to glance for feet and check if a stall is occupied. And that same kind of opening turns out to help in another way too. A 2024 engineering study found the gap beneath the door actually pulls fresh air in and pushes odors out, something a sealed floor-to-ceiling stall struggles to do. The accidental design had benefits. But the tide is turning. In that same survey, 70% of Americans said public stalls do not give them enough coverage, and 58% wanted the gaps gone for good. And builders are finally listening. When Kansas City and Seattle opened gleaming new airport terminals in 2023, they did something quietly revolutionary for the United States. They installed full floor-to-ceiling private stalls with no gap at all. The most exposed toilets in the developed world may finally be growing up. So the next time you are sitting in a stall, watching a pair of shoes shuffle past that gap, you will know the truth. It was never a law and never one clever plan. It was a famous architect's mop, a cost-cutting patent, and 100 years of habit staring back at you from a few inches off the floor. If you found this fascinating, hit subscribe and join Breakdownz, the story behind everything, for more hidden stories about the simple things all around you. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great day or night. I will see you next time.